Why, greetings, Earthlings. I'm just riding on this rocket ship through the stars. Of course, there are a lot of iconic and famous pieces of sci-fi media to choose from. Some I have previously did before. And the one I'm talking about is maybe not Nintendo's most popular, but one of their most beloved franchises, Star Fox. Following the adventures of a group of forest animals that travel through space and stop evildoers. So let's travel back in time and space to where it all began. Woohoo! It all started with a little gaming company in the UK called Argonaut Games, best known for the Croc games. Founded in 1982 by Jess Sand, who had a knack for developing 3D polygons, one of the first games to use it was the 1986 Starglider and its sequel in 1988. Nintendo was very impressed with Argonaut's work and asked them to join the studio to make a game for the SNES using 3D polygons. This was mainly after working on a demo for the Game Boy game called X in 1992 that was only released in Japan. One who was so impressed by Argonaut's work was the legendary Shigeru Miyamoto, who had just wrapped up on Pilot Wings in 1991 and saw this as a big opportunity to make a game for the SNES with true 3D polygons, as opposed to the flat mode 7 games like Mario Kart and F-Zero. And so Argonaut developed the Super FX chip, originally called the Mario chip, a compressor that allows true 3D graphics for the very first time in gaming consoles. For the gameplay of this 3D game, it was decided for it to be an on-rails shooter arcade-style game. The idea for it to be on rails was inspired by the Senben Torii Gate at Fushimi and Naharashi Tashi, in which you had to walk through a series of arches. Now all left to do was design the main character. Miyamoto wanted to move away from the humans and robots that were commonly found in sci-fi media at the time and opt for something unique. One of the biggest inspirations for this character was a shrine devoted to a flying fox god, and thus inspiration was in order. It was decided for our main character should be a fox, with Takata Imara designed the character. He later created other main animals like a falcon, a hare, and the toad. And so on March 22nd, 1993, the first Star Fox game was released for the SNES. Set in the Lilat system, it follows a group of animals called Fox McCloud, Falco Lamberic, Peppy Hare, and Slippy Toad, who fly around in R-Wings trying to defeat the evil monkey Andros. Like I said before, the game was an on-rails shooter that sees the player flying and shoot enemies. And of course, what made the game stand out was its graphics, as one of, if not the first home console game with true 3D graphics. Upon release, the game was released to major praise for its revolutionary graphics, fun gameplay, and amazing music. It was also another bestseller for the SNES with 4 million copies. It was also awarded Best Shooter of 1993 by Electronic Gaming Monthly. There was also a special Star Fox weekend where competitors would achieve the highest score in the game would win a special prizes like either $15,000 or a vacation to either London, Paris, Sydney, or Tokyo, as well as a special cartridge of Star Fox that includes bonus levels. In addition, Fox and his crew appeared in comics and Nintendo Power magazines. Due to the success of the first game, both Nintendo and Argonaut got to work on a follow-up called Star Fox 2. The game ditched the linear path of the first game and for a far more strategic open-world approach. Even included new features to the arm where it can have legs and run around. Yeah, it just looks weird, as it sounds. The game also includes new characters like Faye and Miyu, and of course, Star Wolf, rivals of the Star Fox. It also featured more improved graphics and frame rate thanks to the update to the FX chip. The game was scheduled to be released in the summer of 1995. Unfortunately, the game was cancelled in favor of the newly released Nintendo 64. Despite all this, hack ROMs of the game were released in 2002, but the game would not be released until 2017 on the Super NES Classics. The game was well received upon that release. But even if Star Fox 2 was cancelled, what was supposed to be the second installment would end up being reimagined into something bigger. But before we get into the 64, did you know that there was plans for a Star Fox game for the horrifying Virtual Boy? However, it was unknown if it was even a Star Fox game, and was likely canned due to the Virtual Boy bombing. Only this image is the only piece of what was supposed to be something for the Virtual Boy. Ooh, creepy. And so, the re-engined version of 2 was turned into Star Fox 64, or Liar Wars in the UK, in June of 1997. The plot was similar to the first game, seen the gang trying to defeat the evil android from taking over the galaxy. The game followed the on-rails gameplay of the original, but included new features like all range mode sections, multiplayer, and new vehicles to ride like a submarine and even a tank. It brought back Star Wolf from 2 to make its first appearance in here, and it also featured voice acting for the characters, which led to many iconic lines like "Do Barrel." But the real seller was it was the first ever game to use the Rumble Pack, a device that allows vibration in the controller during gameplay. This will eventually lead to later console controllers having vibrations in them instantly. Upon release, the game was released to critical acclaim upon release and sold 4 million copies. There was also a VHS to promote Star Fox 2 where a Nintendo employee was kidnapped by Sega and Sony employees. This was part of a series of promotional VHSs to promote their upcoming games. Fox himself would even appear in the fighting crossover series Super Smash Bros., where he appeared in the first game in 1999, and when he appeared in later games, Falco would appear in Melee, Wolf appeared in Brawl, and Crystal, who we'll get into later, will appear as an NPC in Ultimate. With the GameCube coming up, fans were anticipating for a new Star Fox game for the new console. However, what fans would get would be quite different from what fans were familiar in more ways than one. For in September of 2002, Star Fox Adventures was released for the GameCube. This entry was developed by Rare of Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong Country fame. In here, Fox must travel to a planet called Dinosaur Planet, a planet of prehistoric creatures. The gameplay is very different from previous entries, going for an action-adventure Zelda-style gameplay, where Fox travels on foot, exploring the planet, meeting plenty of new faces, while battling foes with his staff. While there would be some on-rail action, they're mostly few and far between. It also features a new character to the main cast called Crystal. Now you may be thinking, why such a change in gameplay and style? Well, it turned out this wasn't actually going to be a Star Fox game at all. Originally, it was supposed to be a whole new game from Rare called Dinosaur Planet, a Zelda-style adventure that featured Crystal as the lead character and Saber as the second protagonist. It was set to be released for the N64 and was going to be Rare's magnum opus for the console. However, when Shigeru Miyamoto saw how similar Saber was to Fox himself and said, "Well, if you're going to take one of my creations, you might as well make a Star Fox game while you're at it." And that's what happened. Still, the game was well received, with most praised for its impressive graphics. However, some felt that it deviated from the rest of the franchise. This game would end up being Rare's last game with Nintendo, as well as their only GameCube game before being bought by Microsoft, now called Xbox Game Studios. 3 years later, in February 2005, the next installment of the franchise was released, called Star Fox Assault, developed by Namco of Pac-Man fame. This sees the game facing up against a new threat called the Aperoids, a group of evil species bent on controlling all living things. The game returned back to the on-rails shooting genre of the original, but included some new stages where Fox would shoot on foot in third-person mode. Upon release, the game was received to mixed reviews. While some praised the on-wing stages, the on-foot stages were criticized. Felt like the others did sell well enough. There were plans for an arcade version of the game, but that was never released for unknown reasons. Ooh. A year later, in August of 2006, Fox went to the Nintendo DS with Star Fox Command. This sees Fox trying to reunite again after disbanded, while trying to fix his relationship with Crystal. The game returned to the on-rail shooter as usual, but featured a more strategic gameplay in the vein of Star Fox 2. Upon release, it got good reviews, with some calling it a return to form for the franchise. With the release of the Wii the same year as Command, fans would expect the new game to be on the new game in the franchise released on there. Sadly, that was not the case, as the franchise would eventually go on hibernation, only appearing in minor appearances like a minigame in WarioWare Smooth Move, and of course Super Smash Bros. Brawl. But of course, a new game in the series wouldn't be until September 2011, not as a new game, but a remake of Star Fox 64 called Star Fox 64 3D. It featured enhanced graphics as well as new features like battle modes. It got good reviews upon release, though some did complain that it was too similar to the original and should have added new content. Dude, it's a remake. What do you expect? But a new entry in the series wouldn't be released until April of 2016 on the Wii U, called Star Fox Zero. It brought back the same classic gameplay as Star Fox, but featured, however, the Wii U gamepad will allow people control the R-Wing. It also features the ability to transform with legs in the vein of Star Fox 2, and it's just as weird. And feature a new vehicle called the Gorlin, a helicopter that can lower a small robot called Direct Eye that can either enter small spaces, hack into control computers, or latch onto explosive cues that can be dropped on enemies. Upon release, the game got average reviews, with some complaining that it was too similar to the originals. It also didn't sell enough copies, making it the least successful of the franchise, eventually being the latest in the series. There was also Star Fox Guard, a game bundle that featured Slippy and his Uncle Grippy defending bases from enemies, like before God was mixed received. Fox and his crew would even appear in the Toys to Life game Starlink, Battle for Atlas as playable characters on the Switch version. So, looking back, the Star Fox franchise has become one of the most iconic and even revolutionary franchises from not only Nintendo, but also in games in general, as the franchise will help pave the way for 3D graphics in gaming. Heck, without Star Fox, we would have never seen games in a new dimension. So even if we may not ever get a new game in the franchise, the original will live on as one of the greatest games of all time. Join me next time as I not only talk about another gaming franchise, but also an iconic anime piece of media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you all next time. Do a barrel!